Allison Miller is the showrunner of the miniseries Angelyne. I'm at Noble Gold Derby, and I wanted to start off by asking you, Allison, how do you make a television series about fame and celebrity?
Well, I think it's very timely. I think that you just hold a mirror up to the rest of us. I mean, I think one of the things that it really showed me is that there's not a lot of mystery left in the world. I think we like our celebrities to be very open and to give us glimpses into their home life. We expect to see their kids, and we expect to see, what they look like in the morning, and we want to know where they grocery shop. And I think that one of the things I've come to realize is that maybe we've lost a little bit of the mystery, right? We don't necessarily need to know everything about everybody. And maybe part of the fun is not knowing and imagine that they have this life that's not like ours. But most of them are, just people, just drinking coffee and trying to get through the day.
Yeah, and what was the most important thing for you in this series, and what were you wanting to convey or portray?
Well, I mean, I think what I'm proud of, is that we landed where I wanted to land about biopics. And, as a writer, I love them. I love to watch them, but they're hard. And I think that when I set out to try to make one, I realized very quickly that that they're impossible to make, and to really portray a person with all their complexities and the depth that goes into being a person, and that we're not a collection of facts, right? That's what the article in the show kind of proves, is that she's not those things and those things. She's so much more. People are, the space between those sentences. And I think that the show kind of ended up being about the failure of biopics, and about how we never can really know someone else's story. And we kind of land wholly on leaving it in her hands to tell us who she is.
What and who do you think she is after telling this story?
Well, I think the question I've been asked a lot is like, did you seek to reframe Angelyne? And I was like, I think that more than anything, we wanted to put her back in the original frame. Why can't she just be who she wants to be? She's been very clear about it, right? She's shown her image, her name, and her number. You want to talk to this person, you call this number. Like, she doesn't want to be more than that. And I think that is maddening to a lot of people, and they want to know what else she is about. Like, they can't leave it at that. And I think that kind of that impulse is very fascinating to me.
Yeah. What did you learn from making this series? What have you learned?
I think one of the things is, as a woman in this business, kind of knowing your value. I mean, I think she's a person who knows her value, and isn't afraid to ask for what she deserves. And I think we're all in that way in gig economies, in which I was in for many years. And again, after this is over, you've got to state your rate, right? You've got to agree to do an amount of work for an amount of money. And part of that is kind of like knowing your value, feeling your value, and asking for what you deserve. And I think that Angelyne's, always done that, and certainly did that with this show.
What is your favorite moment from the series?
Probably she's so unconventional, and I think we really cracked what we wanted the show to be when we started using all the unconventional storytelling. And I grew up loving Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind and Being John Malkovich, and to be able to do some of those like weirder things, those things that are more interesting to me, that are more like visual art, that kind of inform what's going on inside the character in a way maybe we haven't seen, like dance numbers, and we've got spaceships, and we've got, we get to go back in time and retell it a different way. She actually, I love the moment, I think, when she leaves, she kind of is made to see a memory she doesn't want to see through the window, and kind of physically removes herself from the scene. And then we practically made the whole set go dark behind her. And that was fun. We always tried to do it practically. We always tried to do it in the camera as opposed to VFX, and really make it feel like kind of a handcrafted little dollhouse of a show. And I think that I think I just love how it turned out.
Mm. And how do you, like, you mentioned before about the mystery of her and that sort of something you didn't want to lose. How do we like, how did you best achieve sort of that, maintaining the mystery while also us getting to know her and explore her as a character?
Well, I think that's where the talking head documentary style came in so handy, and kind of as a device really freed us from being the definitive topic on anything about this character, because we have someone immediately kind of undercut what we've just learned. We did so many interviews in the exploratory process of the show, and there were so many times when we had to remember, oh, this is somebody's recollection of what happened with all of their own baggage and assumptions about who she is. So, no one's got a unbiased point of view of anyone else. So of course the whole structure is flawed, and we kind of just lean into those flaws and kind of pointing out those flaws in the show.
Yeah, that's a good point. What for you was the most like interesting aspect of Angelyne as a character?
Well, I met Angelyne like everyone else did, through the windshield of a car, and I looked up and saw her when I moved to Los Angeles in '99, and I was like, huh, I wonder who she is. And then it was like a light bulb turned on. It was like, well, that's genius. Like, she has me sitting at a stoplight wondering who she is. Like, it just seemed so obvious and yet so clear. And I think that she really created herself into a logo of sorts. Like, people will call me and say like, oh, Angelyne got a pink Jeep. And I'm like, no, she drives a pink Corvette. She didn't get a pink Jeep. Somebody else got a pink vehicle. Like, she doesn't own all pink vehicles, but it's like she created this thing that's instantly recognizable and tied to herself as a way to kind of market herself as a celebrity, as a way to take her identity and make it real and acknowledged by everyone else, by that, and to say that that's who she is. It's a really smart way to go about it.
I think in the pilot episode, Angelyne says, well, the character Angelyne in the show says, people see who they want to see with her. Was there anyone you were wanting to see as you were writing and exploring this character?
Well, I think I definitely created a very feminist version of her, for sure. I mean, I think that you can see her. What's interesting about her is, again, what's interesting about what the article did is it kind of gives you what you want, right? Do you like to see a darker, more complex side, or do you think she's like pink, fun unicorn pinup? Like, choose. Like, she let you choose. Like, she's not limiting how you see her. She's only saying, this is who I say I am. So, and it's like in the same hand, she's almost taking away that power and giving you power, which is an interesting push and pull.
Yeah, it's cool. And Emmy Rossum plays her in the show, and it's interesting because Emmy Rossum didn't look a whole lot like Angelyne. It's a big physical transformation for her as an actress. What do you think was sort of the reason why she was sort of the right person to play that role, when you wouldn't have, like, just looking at her in Shameless, have gone, Angelyne?
Well, I mean, I would love to take credit for casting her in this role. I would love to, because she's amazing in it. But she found the project, and she's shepherded the project, and actually chose me. I always say, I cast me. I didn't cast her. And you'd have to ask her, but I feel like I've heard her talk a lot about it over the last few months, and I can just say that there's a tremendous amount of power in the physicality of that role, and I think that she's been so good in so many different things. This is just something else to try. I mean, I think that it became this kind of, it became just years and years and years of her life to make this happen. And I think she just brought her everything to it.
Yeah. And what did you bring to it, Allison? What part of yourself did you bring into this project and your work on it?
My degree is in poetry, and I think that it's funny when we were talking about the last episode of the season, which is very lyric and is very fluid. I think that Emmy would sometimes say, like, well, I feel like if I step on one part of the script, another part kind of raises up, and I'm like, yeah, you got to walk lightly on this script because it's, it's a bit of a fever dream, and it's meant to you're meant to kind of like roll through it and kind of let it wash over you. And I kind of hope that at the end you will think, is it worth it that we knew? Do we need to know things about other people that they don't want us to know? Like, how do we feel now that we know? So I hope that maybe that sensitivity, it translates to the screen.
Was there a scene or moment in the series that you're finding particularly challenging to get right or know how to approach?
Oh, I mean, I think all of them, always, through all of time. Any writer,
Yeah.
I mean, you just never know how things are going to come across. I mean, particularly the challenges of a biopic or of telling someone a story. And like I said, we set out to make a biopic, but we quickly realized it's almost about the opposite. It's about the failure of them. And there were a lot of challenges.
And I guess also just figuring out how all the different scenes and moments fit together as well, particularly with a show like this, where you got the different perspectives and different styles, like, some quite tender moments, but also some wild fantasy sequences and just how, so like, what were you trying to do in terms of the approach of the tone of this show, which does sort of vacillate to different places at times?
Yeah, I mean, I think that recently, just in the last couple of weeks, I've felt proud of the fact that it's fun to watch. I think that we need more things that are fun to watch. And I think we were aiming to let people laugh and be and feel kind of her power, but also kind of feel the kind of deep pain that sometimes can come in life, and yet people rise above and maybe see that in their own lives.
Is there a moment that made you laugh particularly from the series?
Oh yeah, I mean, it was a great set. We did a lot of laughing. I mean, Emmy's very funny, just kind of as a person, and there were a lot of dream situations. Like we kind of desperately wanted to recreate the video that he finds in the penultimate episode. He finds this video of her, the character Max finds a video of her online, and she's, Goldilocks and the Three Bears. And there is a real video that's kind of inspired by online. And we so desperately wanted to just remake it shot for shot, but the lawyers wouldn't let us. But it's just like the surreality of having Emmy dressed up like Little Riding Hood and having a big bear in a bear suit being like, "Arr!" Like just, and making the set be precious in a way on purpose was so fun. You just don't get to do stuff like that. People don't necessarily, like on the executive level, don't always get stuff like that on the page. But we were able to do it. And just like that day filled me with like so much happiness that we were able to and it's such a small little grace note in the show, but it was just such a fun thing to shoot.
Yeah. And like that sort of touches on how did like sort of collaboration play a role in sort of putting this show together?
Well, it's the first show I've worked on that was a team of women, which was amazing, and I love it, and I want to do it all the time. But I don't. I'm working currently. One of my writers on Angelyne, Andy Ciara, sold a show called The Resort, and so I'm running that with him, co-show running that with him. And so I just met people that I want to be involved with creatively forever. I feel like Lucy Cherniak, our director, Emmy. It's felt great to be on a team of women making this show, but everyone seemed to be so committed to the project and just had seemingly boundless energy to give to it. And I just appreciated so much that I was a part of something that big.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool. And what do you like, if you have to tell someone what you thought the sort of driving message of Angelyne was, what would you say?
I think it's about not giving away your power over your own identity. And I think that people I hope that people kind of value their internal power and don't let other people kind of tell them what they can be or cannot be, or who they are or who they aren't. I think that would probably be the main one.
And can you think of a moment that you thought was particularly powerful from the show?
I'm particularly proud, I think, of the last episode of this season. I think that when, you know, when all the pink lights come on, when she still feels like she has maintained kind of her power, even in the face of being revealed in this article, I was always surprised at how emotional I was when that moment happened. And I think that everything in that episode leading up to that, you know, helps that moment land. But also kind of then we get to go to like a pink planet with this artist Chris Parks designed the skies like in the spirit of Barbarella, and that was super fun to put together in post. So it was kind of like the whole journey in that episode.
And if you were to reflect on sort of your time making Angelyne and your work there, what's the thing you think you'll take from that and will stay with you for a very long time?
That to trust your heads of department, to trust your crew, and to choose people that love your project like you love your project, and then just let them be, you know, their best selves. You hired them because they're amazing at their jobs. And this, from our makeup artists to our production designers to, you know, our directors and our composer, like I've just been in awe of what they've brought to the project and how they've elevated it and everything that they've done to kind of make it as special as it turned out. And it's been really great to watch, and I want to work with these people forever.
Well, Allison, thank you so much for talking to us today. People can go to goldderby.com to make their award predictions, join the discussion in our forums, and watch other interviews with award contenders. And on that, Allison, all the best of luck with this year's Emmy Awards for Angelyne.
Emmy Rossum.
There you go. I love it. Yeah, Emmy Rossum, Emmy Awards. Yeah, thanks for chatting out. I really appreciate your time, Allison.
Thank you so much, Matt. It was nice to meet you.